Everyone. My name is David Torres, and welcome to Conversations with David M. Torres. And with me, we have my wife Kelly Torres and our sister Jessica Pages. If you want to greet the people that are going to be hearing us today,
Hello, hello.
Hello.
and we want to get started with the definition of depression.
Depression is a common mental health condition characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest or pleasure in activities previously enjoyed. Some of the symptoms are persistent low mood or sadness, loss of interest or pleasure in activities, change in appetite, weight, sleep disturbance, fatigue or loss of energy, the difficulty concentrating or making decisions, and thoughts of self harm or suicide. Um, I also want to say that sometimes, not always, depressed people are going to show these signs just because they are functional depressed people that can function without showing none of these symptoms at all. They just hide it like under a mask, and they can hide it very good to the point that nobody will ever notice that they're depressed until they take their life away. And we see that a lot in people with high positions in companies, CEOs, pastors of our churches, leaders, that they don't show any symptoms at all. And we don't notice until they take their own lives.
So we can definitely start by saying that many believers struggle with this in silence, and I think that the church must be a safe space for healing, especially in regards to depression. I know that the culture in our church, in many churches, I should say, is that depression, when they mention depression, they think that it is a demon. And in most of the cases, it's not. We understand that demons can take advantage of these things, but most of the time, it's just simply a person going through the struggles of life. So let's start with the question: is depression a weakness or a lack of faith, Sister Jessica?
It could be a moment of weakness in the individual's life, but definitely is not a lack of faith because as a believer, you will go through some turmoil, you will
Mm-hmm.
go through some challenges, you will go through some moments of oppression, and we are creatures that were created with emotions, and sometimes those emotions will place us in the valley, they'll place us in the pit,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it'll be hard to navigate or come out of it.
And I'm glad that you say that because when we look at the story of Elijah, right,
Mm-hmm.
he's a perfect example of depression. After a victory, seeing fire coming down from the heavens, he's being persecuted. He persecuted to be killed,
Mm-hmm.
to be unalive, like the word that they're using nowadays because of social media. Yet, when he's speaking to God while he's running away, él le está diciendo a Dios, quítame la vida.
Take my life, yeah.
So yo puedo estar de acuerdo contigo que no es, it's not weakness. I mean, that is weakness, but it's not a lack of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because even though he's running and he's talking to God,
Yeah.
so he has faith, some sort of faith. He saw
He
God,
has a relationship
yeah,
with God.
giving him victory. In a moment of weakness, he's saying, "Just take my life away. I mean, I don't want to handle this anymore. I don't want to go through this anymore." But the key point in this story is that even though he has seen God, he has seen how God um, deals with him. It's in the whisper
Mm-hmm.
that he noticed, okay, this is God right now. because when we go through depression, the last thing that we want is to keep hearing the noises and when I was preaching about this not so long ago, we want to be under the covers. We want to put the curtains down. We want complete silence. We want to be in the dark because we are depressed. We're depressed. So it's the moment of silence that God will minister to us and to let us know, hey, I'm here with you in the pit.
Yes, and even just the way that God responded to
Mm-hmm.
Elijah, he did not respond with shame. He gave him rest and he gave him food. And sometimes, yes, we will find ourselves in the pit, in the valley, and wanting to be in our rooms and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to hide from our loved ones and not wanting to answer the calls or the text messages. I've been there. I would go, as the kids say nowadays, I would ghost people, and I would not respond to text messages or calls because I was in that pit and I was feeling really down and I was struggling.
And I think the church needs to learn how to manage these things. I know from my own experience and my wife, which I would like for her to talk a little bit about the experiences that she had with depression in regards to her sickness, losing her job, because depression is real, and it will when it touches you, it doesn't look for titles, it doesn't look for
For gender, for
yeah,
race.
for race or what type of job you're doing in the church. When it hits you, it's gonna hit you. So
Can be a brain chemistry imbalance
Yes.
that doesn't have to do nothing of what we live, what we're going through. It's just simply as having a chemistry imbalance in your
imbalance.
brain. It can be genetic, and also with life events, medical conditions. Like I'll talk about me having fibromyalgia, and through the years, how it has affected my life due to severe pain, um, body spread, widespread through all my body, and it's not just the pain, and it happens with other diseases like lupus, MS, thyroid disorder, which people don't think about it, but the thyroid produces some hormone that you need in your body, and that can give you depression also,
Even premenopause.
and
Yes.
premenopause,
Premenopause.
and
A
it's
lot of women are going through that.
because it's
It's a hormonal
it's a hormone
imbalance.
disbalance. So these things are real, and nowadays we're hearing much of it. In our days, like when I was growing up, you didn't hear you know somebody that had depression went to the local hospital. But it's very real. And as I was saying with my disease, I start losing um, muscle mass. I start losing the strain in my legs and my arms, and I couldn't do a lot of things that I used to do without help. And me being a nurse, being the caregiver, for me was a little difficult to receive help from others. I think, and it wasn't pride. It's just I always saw myself as the caregiver. Nursing is my passion. I love to help people. So being seen as weak when I'm the caregiver, I just, as I say, I'm the one that always take care. And knowing that I was losing a lot of just simple things, my ADLs, activities of David daily living, like just doing dishes or just bathing myself. There was times that I got home from work after working 9, 10 hours. I couldn't bathe myself. I had to have my husband or my daughter do it. And for me, I was like, I'm the one who's supposed to be the caregiver. I'm supposed to be the one taking care of my family. And I had to learn how to accept the help of my husband and my children, which for me, it's a little depressing when you're and it's not lack of faith. I did believe that God will heal me one day. I did believe that there were people praying for me, but it was just myself. So I had to learn from being a functional person to a person that needs help,
Hmm.
and that is a
The
little triggering.
adjustment.
Yeah.
The adjustment of that is triggering. So I did was in depression. Nowadays, I have learned how to live with my limitations, um, to live what I can do and what I cannot do. I have to spread out things like today I can mop the floor, tomorrow I can do laundry, the next day I can fold it. So it's just adjustment. But I thank God that I have a very good um, family support, not just here with my husband and my children, but by my family. I have a big church family
Hmm.
that helps me. I have friends that when they see me a little sad, they come and they give me words of encouragement, which is, um, and that has helped me stay focused and what is my calling and what is that God has me, my purpose. And I think that we have to validate that person that is depressed.
Absolutely.
We have to let them know that um, we see you,
Mm-hmm.
we understand your feelings. Because a lot of people by itself, when they're depressed, they um, get in their dark hole. So imagine if everybody else pushes them also. So we're there, we see you, just to acknowledge, I know what you're going through. you know
So community is important,
yes.
but also the right community as well.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Because when we see while you were talking, it reminded me of the story of Job.
Mm-hmm.
He went
Oh,
through
the
sickness.
friends.
Oh, the
He
friends,
lost
Eh,
his
everything.
kids, he lost.
But then the wife and the friends, the community that he needed the most,
Mm-hmm. That he
were
loved the most.
that he loved the most, was telling him,
Kill yourself, just
"Hey,
Curse to God.
curse God,
curse God
and
and
just
Mm-hmm.
die."
Mm-hmm.
just end with your life. And that's why you have to choose wisely who's
Hmm.
in your inner circle.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's times that you have to lose people,
Yes.
and it's
Yes. I
not
agree with that
everybody's going to be
statement.
with you in your seasons. And that's something that I have learned, that not so choose wisely who you're going to get counsel from.
Yeah.
Sister Jessica, what you can say about depression in regards to your own experiences, and how you handle being depressed.
Um. Honestly, acknowledging, acknowledging those emotions, acknowledging the reality
Hmm.
that yes, what I am experiencing, it hurts. I have had many sleepless nights, many days that I would barely eat or engage with people, or if I did engage with people, it was an on and off switch. But I do agree, having the right sense, having a community and having the right people to kind of raise your hands up and be that Aaron in your life and be that support system is definitely key. Because not everybody's called to be in your corner. That is the
Mhm.
reality.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always learned in life, people come in our lives in seasons.
Yeah.
And some seasons might be longer, some seasons might be shorter, but God places the right people if you allow God to place the right people by your side. But just going back into acknowledging, depression, and even, like I said earlier, I did acknowledge that I was going through a heartbreak. I was broken. I was drained, very drained, where I felt like I couldn't anymore. And just like Elijah, I had moments where I asked God, I'm tired. I am so tired. And I'm like, Lord, just take me. Take me. And it's different. It's not so much that I wanted to commit suicide. That's
Mhm.
not what I wanted to do. But I did come to a point one or two times where I pleaded to God and I cried in my loneliness and my moments where I was home by myself, and I would just cry out. I remember I would cry a lot in the shower
Mm.
in the middle of the night, and I would fall almost into fetal position just crying because I just couldn't bear the season that I was in, But
Yeah,
So yeah, so
I
definitely acknowledging it.
people think that a person in depression is the one that will dress in black. I think one of the words that you mentioned in a conversation we had was be gothic.
Oh, gothic.
Gothic, I
Yeah,
should say.
gothic.
And that's not the case.
Yeah.
There's people that they know how to dress the part because
Mm-hmm.
they gotta go to work. They gotta stand behind a pulpit and preach or sing or whatever the case might be. But whenever they go back home is when they start feeling it again. I remember seeing a post recently where they were saying people can fake a smile, but they cannot fake depression. And looking back when I was really going through depression, I remember being that person, the person that knew how to preach or being depressed, the person to counsel people with my wife, couples, and being depressed, waiting for God to speak to me or for someone to say that word of encouragement. Yet I was the one giving that word of encouragement and feeling depressed
Mm-hmm.
because and we were mentioning that it has to do with the culture, the church culture,
Oh, yes,
where the leader has to be strong. You cannot show emotions. You cannot show weakness. Everything is about faith, and you if you're depressed, you need to pray more. You need to snap out of it, and we treat it like, oh, and it's mostly because just like the friends, Job's friends and his wife, they don't understand what we're going through. So, oh, he just need to pray more. Just don't pay attention
It's
to
the
him.
it's the lack of empathy.
Yes.
Is the lack of empathy is a cultural mindset.
Mhm.
It's a mindset that keeps a body of believers in a box
Yes.
and not understanding that
Mhm.
yes, the most strongest prayer warrior, the most strongest preacher, pastor, or deacon, whoever they are within a church community, can go through a season where they go through some hardships. And the question is as a body of believers, how is it that we're going to navigate through this? How is it that we're going to provide that support? Or how are we going to acknowledge, hey, we haven't seen this sister, we haven't seen
Yeah.
this brother in a
Yeah.
while. Let's find out what's going on. How can we help them?
And I think it's very important the community, just because sometimes while you're depressed, as I said, you just lock yourself in your bedroom, but and sometimes that person doesn't even need a word, just with a hug, and just say, "I'm here for
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here. You want to scream? I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
You just want somebody to hear you out, and then I'll stay quiet and I just hear you out, and just let that person know that you're there. We have to be Christ-like, that we can be there for each other and build these people up. I think that en los tiempos de antes, el tú decir que tenías algo, estás en pecado.
Yeah.
Y
Yeah.
los líderes y
O está
nuestros
fuera de la
pastores,
voluntad de Dios.
está fuera de la voluntad de
Caíste.
Dios, caíste. Y se meten eso tanto en la cabeza que aún ellos pasando por situaciones no lo dejan ver ni lo dicen y se lo callan porque me van a ver como que yo soy débil. Somos humanos y vamos a pasar por diversas cosas.
Pero yo pienso también que la persona tiene que estar lista para desahogarse.
Exacto, sí.
O para, como tú dijiste ahorita, to vent, right? Because it's a process.
Yeah.
Just because you are already on the other side and it's sunshines and rainbows, you need to let the other person go through the emotions, and let them be ready to speak, because that's another thing that you mentioned empathy. The lack of empathy in the church, and we are here 2025, and we're still telling people, oh, don't cry, and they're crying because they just lost someone.
Somebody.
They, and I still remember when somebody told me when my dad passed away, hey, you don't have to cry, he's in a better. I know that he's in a better place, but I miss him.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, it was 2014, and every day I still remember my dad. So, it's something that the church needs to learn how to deal with, especially the leaders, because people are going to go to the leaders. Now, I'm going to ask this. Did Jesus went through depression? Say that one more time.
Yes.
I think, yes, when he was praying
Uh-huh.
before he was turned in.
A lot of religious people are gonna be
Well,
they're probably falling backwards right now.
¿Sabe? Cuando el Señor Jesucristo dijo, Padre, pasa esta copa de
Ujú.
mí, que se haga tu voluntad y no la mía.
Mm-hmm.
Yo creo que eso fue un momento for a cry out.
Mm-hmm.
¿Sabe? Él sabía a qué él vino a este mundo, pero en ese momento
Fue humano.
fue humano. ¿Sabe? Y al él decir, pasa esta copa de mí, que se haga tu voluntad y no la mía. ¿Sabe? Aunque él era 100% Dios, pero también era 100% humano.
Y esa es la parte que las personas a veces se olvidan. Él tuvo que venir como humano a este mundo para poder hacer el gran sacrificio de morir en la cruz. Y yo no sé si la gente se ha puesto a pensar lo que eso significa, porque aún teólogos que han visto la película The Passion of the Christ, ellos dicen que eso solamente es un glimpse de lo que le pasó a Jesús. Dicen que aún sus partes privadas fueron exposed. Él cargó la cruz desnudo y aún así lo seguían golpeando. Dicen que su columna vertebral fue expuesta. Y Jesús, cuando se fue a orar, él sabía lo que le esperaba. So, yo creo que él llegó a un momento de depresión. Y aún como la historia de Job se asimila a lo que le pasó a Jesús, él a su círculo más cercano les pidió que oraran con él, y los encontró durmiendo.
Sin el apoyo.
So imagínese usted una persona pasando por depresión y busca la ayuda espiritual en la iglesia, y viendo cómo a veces reacciona el cuerpo de la iglesia concerniente a otras cosas, las personas no se atreven a decir que están pasando por depresión. Y si lo hacen, lo que le dicen es, tú lo que tienes que hacer es orar más, y no hay ese apoyo de ese círculo cercano de las personas que están pasando por depresión.
Depression or depression is associated with shame.
Oh, yeah.
It's shame, and I think when a believer is going through that hardship and that state of mind and depression, we need to be able to lean in our community, right? So our community includes our churches, our families, right? People that we hold to high standards in our lives, right? And we have to be able to trust them.
Yes.
Because that's another thing.
Yes.
Yeah, having that line of communication, having that transparency, and not placing shame over someone who's experiencing an emotional situation that just really has them broken.
And the enemy takes advantage,
Yes.
And if you allow to the enemy to whisper to your ear, letting you know you're not worthy, take your life away, you're never going to get out of this hole, you're never going to achieve anything because I have you in depression. And as I said, there was one time when I first went through depression, I lost my job, and there were so many things happening in my life, and I got depressed, and as my husband said, when he was depressed, he was on medication, and I was just like, do you take your medication today? Because today I can't deal with you. Just take your medication today. But I fully didn't understand what a person went through while they were in depression. And then I saw myself like I didn't go to church for a whole month. I didn't, my kids had to go, we lived in a townhouse at that time, go up to my room. David will be like, "You want to go to church today?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to see people. I don't want to talk to anybody." And I even like 4 or 5 days without taking a shower, and then I really went through it. And then one day I had to snap out of it. But that was me. No, as I said, I wanted to speak to anybody. And my husband was like, okay, babe, yes, we'll see you later. So he didn't rush me. He never judged me.
Yeah.
I think we tend to be very judgmental when we see somebody going through something. That person already is depressed. So we're not here to add to that depression. We're here to give a word of encouragement, a helping hand, encouragement from the Bible, words from the Bible, and just let that person know we're here for you. There's a community that we're here for you to help you. But if we're going to be judgmental and just pointing fingers, then we're not doing our job as a church family. And also that comes to, we should choose who are our friends to give us good advice. And but that moment in my life, I was like, this is not me. I cannot, I've been serving the Lord for so long. I can't be just staying in my bed. I have to, Kelly, get up. And I even shook myself. I'm like, Kelly, you have to shake this out. This is not you. Don't allow the enemy to drag you to a place that is going to be very difficult to come out. So I start, because I even stopped praying at that time. I just, but I was just like in my mind, God, I need your help. Like I was struggling. The struggle was real. But it wasn't until like myself, I'm like, okay, Kelly, you have to snap out of this. You have to get dressed, go to church like you always do, and try to get over this. You need help. You need to talk to people. You have your friends. Allow them to help me. Yeah. We have to allow people to help us. You cannot just cut everything.
I think the church has to learn to respond with compassion.
Oh, yes.
And no condemnation, right? And no shame. And we need to be careful of not saying, just pray about it. Just pray about it. Just pray about it. Because, yes, prayer is definitely key. A tool that the Lord has given us, to keep that heavenly connection with the Lord. But reality is sometimes we just want to vent. Sometimes we just want somebody to give us a good counsel, or sometimes we just want a hug.
Yeah, a hug. A simple hug can make the difference. Like
I remember that when I went through depression and I was taking my pills, I also, I did the professional help as well. And because I honestly believe that at that point, I guess the church that we were going to, the leaders were not prepared.
No.
They were not prepared, and even though I was going through depression, I knew that I needed help. And I did what I needed to do, and that's something that the church should not be lacking the resources, should not be prepared to just be present and just listen to the person that is going through it at the moment. It is not difficult to be present to a person that is going through it and just listen to them.
It's even biblical, right? We find this in Romans 12:15. Mourn with those who mourn.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's biblical for us to be there and lift each other up, and and providing that presence, a sense of presence, that unity within community.
Yes. And we want to be there for them as leaders and pastor of our churches. But then we have to recognize when they need help.
Yeah.
Professional
help. We have to recognize that, okay, I can do up to here, but I don't have that knowledge. That person needs to be referred for professional help. It's just as the same thing. You're sick, you need to go to the doctor.
Yes.
You have a toothache. Well, I'll pray for you. You have to go to the dentist. So it's the same thing. And we used to have this big stigma de que la salud mental, eso no
Es un
hay,
tabú.
eso es un tabú.
Eso no se
Those are
habla.
demons.
Sé que son demonios pero es lo mismo, tú sabes, es lo mismo cuando si tienes enfermedad coronaria o del corazón, tienes que ir donde el cardiólogo. Si tienes enfermedad de los huesos, pues tienes que ir al reumatólogo o al ortopeda. So, también tenemos que reconocer cuando debemos mandar a una persona que está depresiva, que ya hemos, como pueblo de Dios, como líderes y como pastores, hasta dónde llega, hasta dónde alcanza nuestro conocimiento.
Yeah. Yo creo que es importante también que nosotros creamos lugares seguros o grupos de apoyo, ¿verdad?
Exacto.
Siempre algo que yo que posteé en mis redes sociales no hace mucho es que siempre decimos, oh, la iglesia que sana, que somos la iglesia que sana, pero cuando tiene que ver con temas como este, no sanamos a las personas.
No, juzgamos.
Empezamos a juzgar, tiene que ser porque está fuera de la voluntad de Dios, tiene que estar en pecado. Eso es porque hizo las cosas mal, no tomó la decisión correcta, y se olvidan de que solamente lo que está ocurriendo es vida.
Sí.
La vida a veces trae problemas y hay consecuencias de otras cosas, pero
Sí.
hay veces que simplemente la vida está pasando, divorcio, pérdida de un ser querido, porque ahora que somos adultos nos atrevemos a hablar de lo que nos sucedió cuando éramos menores de edad, quizás niños, y el recuerdo de lo que nos sucedió también trae depresión a nuestra vida.
Sí.
Entonces, si la iglesia es la comunidad que sana, ¿por qué entonces no nos atrevemos a bregar con esas situaciones?
Y tener esas conversaciones bien abiertas. Y tener como an open door policy. En mi trabajo, en my agency that I work at, we have an open door policy. Que si llegamos de una visita y en esa visita fuimos agobiados de los problemas de esa familia, lo podemos desahogar. You know, we're coming overwhelmed from a home visit.
Exactly.
We're able to sit with our supervisors and just kind of release, decompress everything the baggage we just received, and we're able to decompress. And I think as a body of believers, a church, a community that is united through faith, through Jesus Christ, we should also have that open door policy.
Yes.
Where there's transparency, that I can come here and I can have a conversation, and for it to be I can trust that person, and also that there is that confidentiality, that you can share this with this person, and they're gonna counsel you. That, like you said, they'll pray for you. They're gonna give you scriptures. They're gonna encourage you. But I think this goes beyond that. We need to get you other types of help as well. And I can say I experienced that here, where in the challenges that I faced within the past year, I did get the ear, I did get the prayer, I did get the hugs, but I also got the resources to help me navigate through the challenges that I faced that were not easy. So I am grateful for my community here at the Encounter Church.
Yeah, community is important. I have Robert Marshall. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a book author. I speak about my sexual traumas. I go to events, and sometimes I wanted to run out of those conferences, because it's there are events that is only about trauma, about help, and just listening constantly to the experiences of others can be
Very traumatic.
super traumatic and overwhelming at times. And it's good to have that person that will hear you out, that you can decompress, that they will understand because they went through it as well. And I believe that sometimes God will allow us to go through depression, to situations, just so we can help others.
I think and also the suicide rates are
going up
Going
so
up.
tremendously.
And all ages. I know we spoke about that earlier, that we need to be attentive and do those check-ins with our children, with our teenagers, with our elderlies, with our spouses. Doing those check-ins are so crucial. It is so important because, as we've been saying, that people will kind of go through life and a facade and have a mask on, and they look like everything is, calm, cookies and cream for them, and they're battling internally, and we have to learn how to do those check-ins, and who are those people that are trustworthy. But as parents, as husbands and wives, as leaders, we have to learn to do those check-ins and see how that looks like.
Let's bring hope now. The hope that we have in God. God meets us in our darkest valleys, and we find that in Psalms 23.
Yeah.
Jesus understands our suffering. We can find that in Hebrews 4, verses 15. Healing may come gradually, and this is something that is so important because we think that people need to just snap out of it, and sometimes it's just gradually that people will come out of depression.
It's a process.
It's a
some
process.
might be shorter, and some might be longer. Mm-hmm.
If you could read Psalms 34:18, if you have it.
Yes, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted.
There you go. So those are some of the verses that we can give you, but also look for that community that can help you.
Provide that hope.
So now we're gonna give you some resources that are good for you to keep, just in case you're going through a depression state and you don't know who to call, who to contact. We're gonna provide those to you. So I'm gonna let the ladies provide those resources for you.
You understand? So we have Baycare Behavioral Health. It specializes in helping children, adults with mental health or emotional issues. They can be inpatient, outpatient, psychiatric evaluation, case management, screening, and treatment planning, and many more services. You can call 866-762-1743. Again, that number is 866-762-1743, and the website is baycare.org. We also have NAMI. It's a Pasco County. It's a non-for-profit organization that provides free support, outreach, education to those with mental health conditions and their loved ones. One of the services they offer support groups, because we also have to understand that as family, we have to be involved with our children or spouse or elderly if they're going through depression. Their number is 727-992-9653. Again, it's 727-992-9653. And their website is namipasco.org.
And then you also have the Premier Community Health, which is it's a providers that they board certified or licensed and offer comprehensive, high quality, cost effective behavioral health care to patients from children to adults. And also Empower. Empower is a leading nonprofit mental health, substance misuse, and child well-being organization dedicated to empowering the lives of those in need by offering personal attention, counseling, assistance, and inspiration to help them reach their full potential and achieve individual success. I'm sorry, I didn't give the Premier phone number. The Premier phone number is 352-518-2000, and the website is premierhc.org. And Empower is the phone number is 407-960-1649, and their website is empowerfl.org. IMPOWERFL.org. And we also have the Gulf Coast JFCS, which is a behavioral health program encompass resources and support to help individuals manage severe and persistent mental health diagnosis. And their phone number is 727-479-1800. And the website is Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Service.org. And all these resources that Pastora Kelly and myself have shared are local, Pasco, and even Hernando, because Premier is located in Hernando County. So these are resources that are within hands reach.
And also want to give, if you have a child that's still in school, you can go to Pasco School, Pasco County School, and you can go to the website. There's social workers prepared to help you with your children and to give resources to help our children also.
And we also have the National Mental Health Hotline, Depression Hotline, which is 24/7, 866 903 3787. 866 903 3787. I hope that this podcast has helped you, this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless everyone.
God bless.
God bless.